Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour two, final hour of the week here on the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. One more hour to go. We'll talk some LSU baseball coming up in 30 minutes. And we also have a thought on who may be the next LSU basketball player to join the fold. Will Wade's only got one officially currently, so we'll talk about that coming up here a little bit later. JD Pickell with us every single week in football season. It's not technically football season, but to some people, it's always football season. JD happens to fall in that line. So we'll talk to him right now. He's on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. JD, how we doing?
I texted you, man, before we jumped on the show. Just it feels so good to hear your voice. It makes me think it's football season. I feel like I should be getting ready for a weekend of electric games. So great to hear your voice, man. Great to be talking some ball with you. And sounds like some good things going on in Baton Rouge last time I checked.
Yeah, I think there's some optimism here in Baton Rouge. We got surprising amount of access from Lane Kiffin over the course of the spring. I was expecting, based on his time in Oxford, not to get much at all, but we actually did. And I know you've kind of talked to some boots on the ground around here, but I was checking into one of your videos from this week, talking quarterbacks, and you expressed a lot of confidence in LSU's quarterback room that is beyond Sam Levitt, also including Husan Longstreet and Landon Clark. Why the confidence in what Lane Kiffin has assembled at quarterback here in Baton Rouge?
I think it is two-pronged. So the list you're referring to for me, top 5 quarterback rooms in the SEC, having LSU at 1.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people saw that on social media and were very quick to go to, well, Sam Levitt's not better than Trinidad Chambliss, or Sam Levitt versus Arch Manning. And, that was sort of the thing I knew was coming whenever you put out a list that's supposed to be about a position room as opposed to the position. The thing with the room with LSU to me is, there is what I said about the two prongs. There is talent and there is depth that is quantifiable, if that makes sense. Alabama's at 5 on this list. I have no idea what we're getting from Alabama. I think they're talented, but the fact that LSU you have 3 different quarterbacks, 2 of which that have, at some regard, college football playing experience, that mattered to me when putting this together. So Landon Clark, has he played in the SEC? No, but accounting for 29 total touchdowns a year ago, still playing D1 ball, that mattered to me to go along with Husan Longstreet, who, if Lane Kiffin and Lincoln Riley both want you on their roster, that's a pretty good dual seal of approval. And then Sam Levitt and what he is, too, in terms of, the ability we've seen from him over the course of his career. Just a lot of boxes checked. To be 3 deep, more or less, at the quarterback position went a long way in putting them at number 1 for me.
This is a flippant way to put it, but I'm curious your thoughts. Are you just kind of defaulting to, well, Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss are in Baton Rouge, and they got some guys who are 4- and 5-star players. They're just going to score a lot of points. Are you just defaulting to that, or do you expect some growing pains?
I expect some growing pains. I think especially with Sam Levitt not being full go during the spring, I got burned on the DJ Lagway experience a year ago and just kind of saying, he'll be fine. And then we got to the season, he was very much so not fine. Not the same as Sam Levitt, obviously, with how much ball he's played and those things. I do think it will take a second to get everything totally greased up and ready to roll. I think everyone has different growing pains, though. Someone like your boy here who didn't grow up to be 6'4", at a tall 5'11", if you will. I didn't have the same knee pain that my friends did that ended up being north of 6'4", 6'5". So I think the kinds of growing pains you have are important to keep a pulse on for LSU, but I don't think it'll be breaking out of the box first game against Clemson. We're scoring 45 without breaking a sweat.
Let's go to Clemson next, because I told you I wanted to chat about them. They've been a hot-button topic in college football, and there are some that are ranking preseason teams way too early and are leaving Clemson completely out of it. Where are you on Dabo's program as we venture into 2026?
It's really hard to have confidence in them because last year was supposed to be the year, and they fell on their face.
Yeah.
I was the guy a year ago that was saying, hey, this year's Clemson team is different. Dabo has finally adapted by, dipping his toe in the portal and hiring some other assistants. And with that to leave you feeling empty with all those bells and whistles and the returning starting quarterback, and oh, by the way, 9 draft picks, it's really hard to get back on that bandwagon and say, no, Dabo's still got it, Clemson still got it, here we go. So I am on the exact same train that you just mentioned a second ago of I don't think Clemson at this point has the chops to be considered a top 25 team in the sport. So the thing I said at the end of last season, we did a show the night of the national title game after it concluded, kind of doing a year in review, touching on Clemson. I think they are as cooked as they choose to be. Dabo Swinney, when he got the head job at Clemson, it was in a kind of chaotic time for Clemson football. It was an internal promotion. He was the interim, and when he got told he was going to be the interim guy, he went to a binder that he had been putting together over the course of his entire time as an assistant in college football. And the binder was made up of pages of, hey, when I get my shot to be a head coach, it's going to include these things. And my question is, are you willing / able to, if you're Dabo Swinney, revisiting that binder and tearing out some pages and saying, hey, I was wrong on this. I know this binder got me to the top of the college football world, but I got to tear this page, that page, this other page out and add some new pages. It takes a lot to do that, and that's my question. I think he's a great motivator. I think he obviously a great coach. Otherwise, he wouldn't have 2 national championships. But the same question of will you and can you adapt is remaining unanswered.
JD Pickell is our guest, part of the On3 team. You can catch him on The Hard Count on YouTube, wherever you find your podcasts as well. I want to stay on Clemson, but big picture before we get to some SEC storylines. Lane Kiffin talked about scheduling on Monday and talked about how you're not really given credit for playing a difficult schedule if you lose games. And you look at what he did at Ole Miss for that Power 5 non-conference game that the SEC mandates. He played Wake Forest. He played bad Georgia Tech teams. He played Washington State last year. How do you feel about that in terms of the selection committee putting together a schedule to try to make the playoffs, big-time college football games, what's good for the sport? Because LSU's going to get Clemson an opening weekend. My contention is as long as Lane Kiffin's here, that ain't happening anymore because he didn't put this one on the schedule, and it sounds like he'd rather go play Washington State and Boston College.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, it sucks because we love seeing LSU play Clemson and Ohio State play Texas. But if it's your job to go win football games and put your team in the college football playoff as consistently as possible, I think he's saying the quiet part out loud and what's kind of become more of the out loud part out loud. Like, I bet what he wanted to say is, hey, give us Penn State's schedule where you play USC, Washington, and Michigan, and those are the only 3 games on the schedule that really should hold a candle to you from a roster perspective. Like, that's the schedule I want if I'm Lane Kiffin. And it'd be different if, to what he said, it'd be different if we had a governing body and selection committee that was able to assess the value of a loss and what went into that loss versus, just blowing the doors off everybody else. I 100% agree with where he's coming from. And again, as someone who enjoys these non-conference games, it's a real bummer, but if it's your job to win games and be in the postseason, I'd probably follow the exact same blueprint.
All right, let's talk about a couple of SEC programs. One where Lane Kiffin just left, Ole Miss, that we just mentioned. How do you feel about the Pete Golding era as we embark on that without Lane Kiffin, without Charlie Weiss, but with that big Grove collective behind him?
Yeah, my mentions are lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, they're fired up.
Oxford, which, what are you going to do? Cost of doing business, I suppose. My thought process there is I think Trinidad Chambliss might be the best returning quarterback in all of college football. That is a conversation that is legitimate, and I think you can have with any reasonable person that covers the sport. Now, with that being said, I do wonder a little bit, hey, what's it like, Ole Miss, when they see you coming? And what's it like when we know about Trinidad Chambliss before the month of November? That, to me, is a really interesting dynamic in play. Because last year, it felt like it was such a not carefree Ole Miss team and carefree Trinidad Chambliss, but it was a team that you could tell that they didn't know they were supposed to be nervous in those different spots. Like, they were just out there letting it rip. That's kind of an unquantifiable thing to try to assess in May, but I do think it's something that was pretty instrumental in how good Ole Miss was last season. Now it's like Trinidad's going to be on all the Heisman hot boards, and everyone's talking about Ole Miss getting back to the playoff. I like Pete Golding as a coach. I don't know if I like him as a head coach. So you got to show me the defense is fixed and that Trinidad Chambliss can do it with everyone watching, as well as, Kewan Lacey being in the backfield probably helps. But my point in all this is, like Ole Miss. I don't think I like them nearly as much as the rest of the public does coming out of last season and Trinidad coming back.
Saw Vegas over under at 8.5. So there's probably a lot of folks that are going to jump on the over there. We'll see if that pays or not. The last program I want to talk about is Alabama. There was always going to be somebody that was going to follow Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer is that guy. Now, he's had some success in the last couple of years, made the playoff this past year, but when you look at the numbers, like he has lost 8 games in 2 years, and he got a huge contract extension. How do you feel about all of the things that go into that?
So I saw the contract extension on social media, and initial jerk reaction is like, what the heck? Why?
Yeah.
You just got your brakes beat off in the Rose Bowl. Like, it didn't compute to me. The longer I sat with it and the more I looked into it, it's an extension of a couple of years. I think it's like a 2-year extension, and it only pays him, I say only, it's a $2.5 million raise. So I know like the headline is 7 years, one of the highest paid coaches in the sport, which is true. But when you dig deeper, it's like he was probably making a good chunk of change before that anyway. And that extra 2-year extension isn't too bad. The thing that's curious to me here, Hunt, was, hey, what's the buyout if he wants to leave, and what's the buyout if Alabama wants to fire him? The poaching fee for Kalen DeBoer was darn near doubled.
Yeah.
The fee for Alabama to fire him was pretty sizable, but I'm looking at that $56 or so million that it would be to fire him post 2027, and I'm like, that's a lot of money. But LSU did that for Brian Kelly. Like, Penn State essentially committed to doing that for James Franklin. So my take is this is Alabama saying, hey, Kalen DeBoer, you had an improvement. You made it to the playoff. We believe in you, but don't mistake we believe in you as we're going to be patient with you. I think it's still very much so. If we don't have success this year, it's going to be kind of uncomfortable going into 2027. I do think he's safe through this year. I don't think that was ever truly up for debate, but it's definitely not now, with $67.5 million being the tag that man would have to pay to get him out of Tuscaloosa. But I think past this year, it's still on the table for things to get weird if they underachieve these upcoming seasons.
JD, I don't know if you're aware of this, but around here, June is baseball season. It's College World Series season. That's not going to be the case this year. So football season may start up a little bit earlier around these parts. We'll be reaching out here in the coming months.
You say the word, man. Appreciate you. This was it's kind of like almost like relapsing, Like we've been off for so long, and now I'm gonna be having the fix every Wednesday. Appreciate you, man.
We'll give you a call, JD. Appreciate it, man. Have a good week. That is JD Pickell, host of The Hard Count on 3 Sports. You can find him wherever you find your podcasts, on Twitter at JD Pickell. It's just interesting storylines from a national perspective. That Ole Miss thing is going to be so fascinating, y'all. So fascinating. Because they feel really good about things in Oxford right now. And I think that's largely a coping mechanism. Like, the guy who brought us to heights we hadn't seen since the 60s is gone. But really, what mattered was the collective and the defensive coach that did all the recruiting. Like, this is really the operation. He was just like kind of part of it. And maybe that's true. Maybe they're right. And a lot of people on the outside, like JD, are dead wrong. And maybe everyone else is right, and it's going to feel like a black hole in Oxford pretty quickly. I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle, but you can't suggest it's not fascinating. And, of course, that game that LSU plays in Oxford coming up in September will be maybe the game of the year in terms of interest from the outside, maybe the game of the year. I mean, yeah, Ohio State's going to Texas. Like, that's a pretty big deal. But it's going to be a pretty big deal when LSU goes to Oxford coming up in September. We're chugging along here on a Friday show. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish, and Shrimp. When we come back, is LSU gaining on a new basketball player that they might get from away from North Carolina? And where's he coming from? I looked into this guy earlier today. This is a little bit wild. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com. Maybe you're knocking off of work right now or in the coming hours. Weekend's here. Love to play some golf on the weekend, right? Probably not a good weekend for that. Been raining all day. Going to keep raining. By the time you get out there tomorrow, going to be raining. Maybe you play some indoor golf. Play at Swing Easy Golf Club. Go check them out on Seagan at Perkins. Play Pebble Beach. Play TPC Sawgrass. Challenge yourself on the Island Green. Bring some friends. Go by yourself. It's a different way to play golf. They've got individual bays with comfortable seating. You can bring an ice chest in there. You fire up the television. play some golf, work on your game on the driving range setting, all in the comfort of the indoor while it's raining outside. It's a great, great place to go enjoy some golf on the weekend.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We're going to talk some hoops. Who could LSU's next roster piece be under Will Wade? But first, let me remind you of my friends at Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Just a quick drive from here in Baton Rouge. You're north of town, and in Scotlandville and Baker and Zachary, it's even shorter. And if you're up in the Felicianas or Point Capee, right there. Fabry Chevrolet GMC. If you're looking for a new SUV for that family road trip that's coming up this summer, they've got your Chevy Suburbans, they've got your Chevy Tahoes, they've got your GMC Yukons and Denali's, and happy to let you take a test drive there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You're going to have a wonderful buying experience there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. The customer service is phenomenal. They're going to make sure you're taken care of, and they're going to make sure you're taken care of after the sale as well. That's what's made the Fabry family successful and part of our community here in Baton Rouge for over 35 years. You can trust the Fabry family, and you can trust them at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Start your buying process online at FabryChevrolet.com. It's FabryChevrolet.com. The entire inventory is right there at FabryChevrolet.com. All right, I'm going to do this in two pieces here because I think there are two relevant talking points to this segment. The first is that it appears Will Wade is gaining on his second player. They got Mo Diabate from Kentucky, who comes in as a 6'7" hustle guy, plays a lot of defense, a high percentage shooter because a lot of his scoring is cleanup stuff around the bucket and within 10 feet. He's not a great shooter, not a great free throw shooter, but a good glue guy, a good defensive piece, a veteran piece, a guy that's been in the tournament 4 straight years, a guy that makes a lot of sense to bring in as a piece to your puzzle. That's what you got in Mo Diabate. The second piece, according to multiple reports from the United States and from Italy, is Saliu Niang from Italy. Now, Saliu Niang is an interesting story. He was born in Senegal, and at the age of 2, moved to Italy. And he began playing in youth leagues and grew and developed. And so all of a sudden, as a 17-year-old, he is playing professional basketball in Italy. That's in 2004. He's played 5 years of professional basketball in Italy, and his latest stop was at Virtus Bologna, which apparently is a powerhouse. They won the championship this past year. Prior to this past year, he was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers 58th overall. It was a sign and stash deal in Italy for the Cavs. But now he's made the decision after being drafted last summer and playing a year for Virtus Bologna that he's going to play in college next year. So what does he bring? What is he? Well, the international scouts love this guy. Fran Fraschilla is all over him. The international NBA analysts are all over him. They thought it was a great pick by Cleveland. They think he can be a really good NBA player. And he's 22 years old. He will turn 22 in 2 weeks. I watched some tape on him. He's 6'6". He plays really hard. He runs really fast. He's an elite athlete that can get well above the rim. He can block shots. He can throw down alley-oops. He can get out in transition. He can slash and finish above bigs. He is a great leaper and hustler on the outside. I think he shoots it okay. Of course, I'm watching a highlight tape, so all I get is the makes. It's not a quick release. It's more of a set shot from a 6'6" frame, but he is immensely talented. And he's been in the pro ranks for 5 years, and he's filled out, and the NBA scouts really like him. This is a guy that would provide more offense than Mo Diabate. I'm not confident he would be a great shot creator, but when I watch him on tape, he does a couple things. He knocks down some threes, and he's got a great feel for where he is on the floor. And a lot of times, now this is professional basketball he's playing, but a lot of times he finds the open spot on the floor, makes a quality cut, and he catches the ball on the run heading towards the rim a ton, and he finishes. He finishes with dunks. He finishes with layups. He finishes athletically, around bigs, over guards. He's a big-time talent, and I think would be a scoring force in the college game if surrounded by a couple of distributors who could find him with his elite sense of how he plays and where he is on the floor. There's a ton to like about Saliu Niang, a ton to like. And I think if LSU brings him in, that's a great addition to this team. North Carolina has been heavily involved in this process. It appears that LSU is going to beat them out. There are dollar figures flying all over Twitter. I don't know what the ultimate dollar figure is going to be. That's for Will Wade and his team to figure out over there. But this is a great addition if they can make it happen, and it sounds like it's really close to the finish line. That's one piece to this, right? His story, his game, his fit, LSU bringing him in. Absolutely great. Here's the other piece to this, and I'm just going to be candid, frank, tell you how I really feel about this. This is where we are. This is where college basketball is. You're taking a 22-year-old with 5 years of professional basketball experience and a year removed from being an NBA draft pick and putting him in his first year of college eligibility. Now, he would be a one and done, but that's where we are. Like, I'm not even that concerned about the money. It's not my money. Like, I want LSU to allocate its resources properly between all the sports. I want LSU to succeed. I love the LSU basketball program. I want them to be awesome. I want them to get really good players. But I'm not going to throw blindfolds on here and shake a purple and gold pom-pom and suggest that this makes a lot of sense for collegiate athletics. It just doesn't to me. It's a me thing. But, like, what is Saliu Niang getting out of Psychology 1002 here? This is a pro basketball player that's just going to play college basketball because the paycheck's bigger. And again, that's not like a fundamental flaw in our society, in our sports. But I look at the LSU basketball team as a group of players who go to school at LSU, not a group of mercenary students that were pros. It's just like the whole thing is bizarre because we can't put any rules in place. Everything that happens in collegiate athletics, we go, well, can we take this to court? Where are the attorneys? Like, that's the whole thing is. It's not Saliu Niang's fault. It's not Will Wade's fault. It might be my fault for having a visceral reaction to it. I'm willing to admit that. But, like, when I start looking at prospects for LSU's basketball team, the fact that I'm studying film from Basket Serie A Liga, what are we doing? I think to me, ultimately, as I give it thought, I'm not offended by it. I'm not mortified by it. I'm not grossed out by it. I'm almost amused that this is where we allowed this thing to run to. We lost control at some point, and it's just a circus. It's like, well, we don't have any players, so what do we do? Well, what about the G League? Do they have any guys that are making money? What about Europe? Where are all their players? No, they don't have college. No, not colleges. The pros over there. Like, what are they doing? Well, who got drafted last year that's not in the playoffs right now? Can we tap into that? Like, you just like it. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't know how good this guy is. Everyone thinks he's really good. And I promise you, if he signs with LSU, whether he's making $150 or $5 million, when he gets on the floor against Georgia next year in February, I'll be locked in because that's how it works. And I've always said that. No matter what issues I may have with college athletics, conference realignment, transfer portal, coaching buyouts, NIL, pros to college eligibility concerns, Mississippi courthouses, Trinidad Chambliss, tonsillitis, whatever's going on. I don't care. Once they kick it off, once they tip it off, once they throw the first pitch, I don't care. I've always said that. I came back into this very chair after the Sugar Bowl and I said, this whole thing's a circus, that my football coach was their football coach and they're still playing and he's coaching my team, and then half his staff is supposed to be in Baton Rouge and they're in Oxford. The whole thing was absurd. But I got in the Superdome for 4 hours and it was awesome. And so ultimately, That's really all that's going to matter. But I can sit here on now that we're on May 1st, on a May Friday at my desk and start doing some research on LSU's potential newest ad and just start chuckling at my desk going, what is going on? This wasn't really the point. But then again, if you came in and said, well, what is the point? I don't have a great answer for you. I just know that this is funny to me. So we'll see if they get Sally Uniang. If they do, I think he's probably pretty good. Then they got to go get 12 more players. We'll see where they get those players from. How you feeling about it, Jordan? You're a basketball guy. I mean,
listen, man. College ball is kind of a joke at this point because, I hate to say it because everybody was making fun of Alabama and Baylor, the Najee guy and Charles Bediako, that whole fiasco. But then everybody's going to do exactly what they were doing this season coming up. So, when you have a need where you need 12 guys and knowing that all 12 are not going to get playing time, so some guys are going to have to bite that bullet, you're going to have to just grab some guys that just want to come play college basketball overseas and all that. I just think that I was never no high prospect in basketball and all this, so I can't relate to him. But as an 18-year-old that has, expectations of playing on the next level, it's kind of for what? These guys are just going to grab a 22-year-old, 23-year-old that can plug and play immediately. Then you're 18-year-old that went behind the ears.
LSU's not going to have a freshman next year. I mean, they might. There's one that's signed with NC State that might flip. But they probably won't have a freshman.
And that's crazy. Think about that. Think about telling yourself that maybe 6 years ago that LSU is going to go to the season with no freshmen and they're going to run it with these random guys.
And then they'll probably have to go get 11 more guys the next year.
Thank you. It's an endless cycle that is you're the hamster on the wheel.
Whatever. I hope they beat Kentucky
Just gotta
next year.
watch ball.
Yep. Come back. I got 30 minutes to go. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Oxford's got an amazing opportunity coming up in 2 weeks. May 16th. Mark your calendars. May 16th. If you've got a youth athlete that is going to need a physical for the upcoming athletic and academic year, they are doing an event 8 to 1 from Elite over on Burbank, 5444 Burbank Drive, where you can come and get a no-cost physical. You got to bring your physical form with a parent or guardian's signature and go see him at Elite on Burbank between 8 and 1 on May 16th. If your athlete's 6th grade through 12th grade, you can get that no-cost physical. So if you need a physical to participate in sports moving forward, you can do that courtesy of our friends at Oxford. Again, it's Saturday, May 16th, so in 2 weeks, 8 to 1 at Elite, 5444 Burbank Drive. Bring your physical form signed and bring a parent or guardian, and you can get that no-cost physical to make sure that your student-athlete is able to compete in sports in the upcoming year. Incredible thing. Oxford's always so invested and so involved with our youth sports here in South Louisiana and throughout the Baton Rouge area. So go by and see them. It's our friends at Oxford.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Work week's in the rearview mirror for you. If not, we're going to get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Matt's going to follow us up on After Further Review until 6 o'clock. We're here for another 20 minutes or so. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. If you got a catering event, whether it's a graduation party that's coming up, whether it's a birthday party that's coming up, maybe you're just feeding the office, maybe you got a family reunion that's coming up in the end of the springtime, Corks loves to cater. They're happy to do it for you. You can get those big jumbo trays of jumbo Gulf shrimp. You can get those big trays of crispy fried catfish, the shoestring fries. They're also happy to help you out with all your honey butter rolls, all the sauces that you may like. You can check out their catering menu online at corksfishandshrimp.com. They love to do catering events, so if you've got one coming up and you haven't figured out what you're going to do from a food perspective, leave the cooking to the folks at Corks. Check them out online at corksfishandshrimp.com. All right, we've talked a little LSU in South Carolina over the course of the show. I mean, I think in a general 7th week of SEC play, that we would do more of that this time of year, but we are where we are. So we talked a little LSU football in the first hour. We talked a lot of Saints football in the first hour. We talked some SEC football at the top of this hour, and we've mixed in some basketball. I've been a little bit sparse with the baseball talk just because there's just not a lot to opine about this team. They've lost 9 games in a row. This is the weekend where it's put up or shut up. If you lose 2 out of 3 this weekend, the season's over outside of Hoover. No matter what you do in Athens or against Florida at home, you're toast. Period. So you got to go win all 3 games. And one of the things LSU is going to have to do to win these 3 games is swing the bats like they did in Starkville. I sat there in that press box for 3 days, and outside of really fine work from Jack Bauer, who's an immense talent from Mississippi State, where he really tied LSU up for the better part of 4 innings on Saturday. Outside of that, they really did a good job putting at-bats together. They did a good job of hitting the ball over the fence when they got mistakes. Cerna had a big homer. Yaman had a big homer. Aaron Beatty hit a couple long balls. Milam crushed one down the line that went out. Like, they put some good power swings on the ball. William Patrick did a good job dropping a couple bunts down. I thought you saw some backside hits that were really quality. Kate Aaron Beatty had one of those. You saw some good at-bats, and a lot of them come from young players on this team. Jack Ruckert has a hit in I think 3 of the last 4 games and had a couple extra base hits on Tuesday. You're starting to see some things offensively from the team. They're starting to play a little bit freer, and some of the younger guys are starting to figure some things out. Now, you've got to have Curiel do his thing. You've got to have Milam have quality at-bats. You need that. And we'll see if John Pearson or Chris Stanfield can give you anything. Stanfield was probably closer over the weekend. That's the word we got from Jay Johnson. But this is not a pitching staff at South Carolina that should be able to shut you down. And you're not going to be able, even though South Carolina's offense is terrible, you're not going to be able to count on your pitching staff to help you win a game 3-2. Like, you're going to have to go out there and get 6, 7, 10, 12 runs in games to win them. I'm hopeful that when Schmidt goes out there, you only need 6, but you're probably going to need 6. 3 is not going to get it. I'm hopeful that you can go out there behind Paz and take some stuff forward with him and maybe win a game with 5 or 6 runs. But the fact of the matter is it may take 9, and you got to go do that. This is a team that will allow it, I promise. And I think based on the way that they've played the last week and a half, it's realistic. My problem here is that every time I do this, well, they've done this better for 5 games. Well, they've done this better for 7 games. Well, this guy's done this for 4 straight outings. And then they revert back. I think about, well, in Oxford, you did a pretty good job offensively. You got leads in some of those games. You fought back in the last game and scored 7 in the 7th. Like, you did some things. So that's good. And then you come back against Texas A&M, and I'm going, well, Ole Miss's pitching staff's good. So A&M's pitching staff's not good. You should hit them. And they didn't. But in that weekend, the pitching stepped up, especially in the last game. You held a potent Texas A&M offense to 5 runs. Devin Sheeran, great job. So you go to Starkville and you go, well, maybe the pitching will step up like they did last weekend. And then you fall flat on your face and you can't get anybody out for 3 games. So I can sit here and say, well, they've hit for the last week and a half. Nice job. And they're liable to just fall flat on their face this weekend and not hit, because that's kind of been the MO. I think it would be easier to digest if there was a problem that you just could not get fixed, and it was the thing that brought everything down. Our pitching staff leads the SEC in walks, and we can't get rid of that. Well, we hit a lot. Our defense has been great. Our number 1 starter's been awesome, but beyond him, everybody walks people, and that's why we're losing games. That'd be one thing. Seems fixable moving forward. It'd be another thing if, well, we don't hit for any power, and so that hurts us. We do play some small ball. We pitch it great. We play good defense. We just don't hit for any power, and that's the problem. Okay, well, you can try to play around that. You can play small ball. You can steal more. You can lean on your pitching staff. It'd be one thing if, well, we don't play any defense. We hit a ton of homers. We lead the league in homers. We strike out a lot of guys. We've got some table setters. We're scoring 8 runs a game, but we just we just don't play any defense. If you have one problem, like, you can try to mask it some way. But when you have a problem everywhere and the problems keep popping up other places, it's just not fixable. You can't fix that. Well, we got this worked out, but here's this issue. And well, we got that taken care of, and oh, now this is back. That is what this team is. And that's the most frustrating thing, because you can't fix everything. You can play around one thing. If your defense stinks, play for more strikeouts. If you can't hit home runs, bunt and steal. If you're walking too many guys, well, throw more fastballs and try to put it in play. Like, there are things you can do if you have one issue. When you have 4 issues, you can't fix them all. And it was a fundamental flaw in the roster building. Not athletic enough on the infield. Not enough guys who use the backside of the field on offense. Not enough pitchers who throw strikes. Not enough starters who eat innings. You get the picture. Like, that's what you've been dealing with. So you got to go out there and win 3 games. And you got to hope that enough lines up for 3 games that you can make it interesting next week and you go to Athens. Because Georgia's RPI is in the top 20 in their road games. And, you sweep this weekend, you can try to make things interesting. But I'm not here to try to sell you that bill of goods. I'm really not. I'm going to watch, but I'm not here to sell you that bill of goods. That's our last look at baseball. We got one more order of business. It is, of course, take it or leave it. We'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been rocking and rolling for 40 years at Boudreaux's Electrical. Their son, Justin, does an awesome job as well. Sat down with him earlier this week. Be prepared for the next power outage, whether that's because of a nasty afternoon thunderstorm that rolls through and knocks out your neighborhood for 4 hours. That's a nuisance. Whether it's a hurricane that comes through and knocks the neighborhood out and the city out for a week. Whether it's just a power line that it's run into by a car, or it's too hot and you got electrical issues. It's South Louisiana. We know we have electrical problems. You can solve yours with a Generac home standby generator from the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Call them at 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, or at Gonzales, 225-300-9389. It could be your home, maybe your business. If you need your electricity on to function in a business, get Boudreaux's Electrical to come in and install that Generac home standby generator at your business. They can be ready to go for you in a moment's notice. It's Boudreaux's Electrical. Find them online, boudreauxelectrical.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Wrapping things up here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. I was thinking about Monday's show earlier today. Like, we got a baseball team on the brink. We got a basketball team that's not signing anybody.
Well, I mean, they're kind of a little old, but they're coming in.
And it's truly now the football offseason. We got no draft. We got no spring football. Now, the rookie minicamp is upcoming.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah.
But the NFL never truly gone. But like, when you talk about things that are like happening right this very second that we're in, like, it's Mondays when you phased out of like the stuff. Like, there's a point there in the spring where you're just jammed. You got spring football, you got baseball, basketball's in March Madness, or portals open, or what. Like, you got stuff that's going on. Monday, when your baseball team is 7-17, maybe, like, you got to get creative.
It's gonna get a little rough.
We'll get creative on Monday, but we'll see how things go over the weekend at the box. We talked about it a good bit, and we'll leave that in the rearview mirror. For now, let's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so the Browns are back in the news. So Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam and family marked a significant milestone today with the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Dome Stadium scheduled to open in 2029. But it's been highly controversial because it's a Dome Stadium in the AFC North, so you can understand why a lot of AFC North divisional teams have been slandering the Browns for putting a Dome Stadium in their division. So let the Browns play outside. Take it or leave it.
Leave it.
Just leave it alone.
I'll tell you what, Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals fans are not going to like me very much when I'm the commissioner of the NFL and I make $65 million a year and I'm a member at Augusta National like Roger Goodell. You're all building domes because we're not playing in the snow like clowns. We're not playing in the rain. We're not playing when it's 4 degrees outside, the wind chill 0. Sorry, Packers, we're doming it up. We're doming everybody. That's when I'm the commissioner.
That's like
we're not playing in the snow. It does not look cool. It's dumb. You can't see anything. You can't get your footing. You can't throw the ball. We're trying to play the most consequential games of the year. Yeah. Nobody can feel their face. It's canceled. We're all building domes.
Man, the Packers in a dome, that's like the league might just explode.
Well, sorry. I'm the commissioner. I get $65 million a year, and you can try to find me, but you can't because I'm in Augusta. No cell phones allowed.
Okay. So, all right. So it happened again last night in NBA where a team is getting blown out in an elimination game and somebody on the losing team starts a fight and gets ejected. Well, the Knicks were putting the fear of God into the Hawks when Dyson Daniels elbowed Mitchell Robinson, causing a fight, of course. So bad sportsmanship and blowouts getting kicked out early. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I'm going to leave it. Just chill out. You get beat by 50. It happens.
Yeah.
You're going to Jamaica the next day.
Literally.
So who cares?
Rich.
Yeah.
You're rich and you get to travel.
I mean, you should care. I hope you care about losing, but you can't throw elbows at people because you're down 50 points at halftime. Maybe the solution would be don't give up 80 before the break.
Yeah.
That would be a great solution in my eyes.
I literally thought it was a glitch when I checked my phone.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the game on. I'm like, wait, excuse me? They have 20 points and it's the end of the second quarter?
Knicks fans in that game, because I saw some people tweeting online, they're like Knicks fans, because I got a lot of like public figures that are Knicks fans and whatever. They're like, I've never seen a game that was this relaxing. And it made me think of when LSU beat Oklahoma by 1,000 in the semifinal.
Yeah. Oh my God.
When Burrow
Justin
threw
Jefferson,
it. Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like the end of the second quarter. And I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. There's no stress whatsoever. We score a touchdown every 40 seconds.
Literally.
It was great. And there's so rarely in that big a spot a rocking chair game like that.
Yes.
You got to love it.
All right, so we talked about earlier this week with Brendan Sorsby, right? Well, the numbers came out. So according to Pete Nakos, since 2022, Sorsby placed over 10K bets, and at one point he averaged 20 bets per day. He plays bets across multiple states and on different gambling apps. So, I mean, I think it's safe to say Sorsby is pretty much cooked. Take it or leave it.
I would take it. It's hard to imagine you're going to let him have eligibility back. He's betting on games that involve his team. He's betting a bunch of times a day. I think
20 times a day.
And it's possible. I heard some people say he was going to major league games and betting on the next pitch, going on the next pitch. You rack up bets pretty quickly when you're betting on the next pitch. And who knows if he's betting $1 or $2 and $22 bets is not that big a deal. That's $40.
Was it the Guardians, the pitcher that was getting the Manuel Clase? Yes.
Clase was. But I mean, look, delete the apps, man. He's toast. He's not going to play in college anymore. It didn't include him, I don't think, for playing in the NFL, but he's not going to be playing in college.
Well, that's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right, that's it for us this week. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check them out online, corksfishandshrimp.com. I was checking my fantasy golf. My guy, Siwoo Kim, was soaring up the leaderboard, and then I didn't see him. Double bogey on the last hole. Probably hit it in the water on the Big Blue Monster. We don't like that at all. But if you missed any of the show today, it was not about golf. It was about LSU baseball and LSU football and Saints football and SEC football and LSU basketball. You can catch that on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Subscribe to the show. We always appreciate that. Hunt on LSU is all LSU, obviously. Hunt on Saints, all Saints. Get us right there. And, of course, you can always check us out on LouisianaSports.net for free. That's it for us. Excited about Monday's show. We're going to figure out what LSU's baseball situation is, and maybe Will Wade's got some players. We'll talk about it Monday at 1 o'clock. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further View. Everybody have a safe and wonderful, try to stay dry this weekend. We'll see you Monday.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. They're online at FABT.com, but you don't have to go online to interact with First American Bank and Trust. You certainly can. But just stop by. They got 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. No matter where you are, there's a branch near you. If you've got a business, you need a commercial loan, First American Bank and Trust. If you looking for the house of your dreams and need a loan, First American Bank and Trust. Why do business with them? Well, they're local. They've been in Southeast Louisiana for 116 years. 25 locations means they've got the resources to back you, and they've got the personal touch. Every decision that's made about your commercial loan, about your personal loan, is made right here in Southeast Louisiana. It's not made in Atlanta. It's not made in San Francisco. It's made right here. Whether you're in Tangipahoa, St. Tammany, Lafourche, Terrebonne, Hammond, over in Dutchtown, it's First American Bank and Trust. FABT.com. First American Bank and Trust.